Proclamation number 5982, June 22, 1954. Spoilt doctrine of Christ, Commandment of love. You are being taught the pure gospel and are learning to recognize the difference between my pure gospel and that which is now being taught on earth as my word. You learn to recognize that my word has been changed insofar as that it is being interpreted and, consequently, observed differently, that only little attention is given to that which is essential, whilst the unessential is being stressed, and the result is the rather poor spiritual success. I showed mankind the only practicable way, teaching and living in accordance with my teaching, thus walking the path that all men should walk to come to me. It is the path of love which alone can secure heaven for a person, i.e., that after his physical death, he can enter the spheres of light, where his soul has a blissful existence close to me. Now there is a deviation from my doctrine, which can only be found hidden in a structure of man-made additions, wrong interpretations, and the observance of unimportant commandments, which were never given men by me, and present the great danger that the only essential commandment is disregarded and thus remains unfulfilled. What good does it do you people if you castigate yourselves, if you perform compulsory rites, or worship me with your lips, if you do not recognize the commandment of love as the foremost and fulfill it? You believe to worship me with countless ceremonies, but you can only worship me if you do what I demand of you. Love me and your fellow men. As long as you still find a lack of love when looking at yourselves honestly, you are not yet on the right path, even if you keep bending your knees and castigating yourselves. This demanded by men and performed only for men whom you want to convince of your piety. But you are far from the true piety as long as you do not give your fellow men that love which also proves your love for me, while you let your neighbors live in greatest need and distress without trying to help, while you indulge in outward gestures, paying homage to the world through mundane pomp, through all that for which you invented the term, in the honor of God. I do not want to be worshipped in such a way while there is still misery crying to me, which you could alleviate if you engraved my commandments of love in your heart. Whilst I was walking on earth, I cared for the needy, the poor, the sick, and the oppressed. You who claim to be my followers on earth, what are you doing for the poor, sick, and oppressed? As long as you could help but do not, you are not my true followers, whether you call yourselves that or not. I rate only the fulfillment of my commandments of love, because everything else, profound faith, recognition of the truth, union with me, and finally everlasting bliss resulting from love, and can never be gained without love, and this makes it obvious why the spiritual need on earth is so great, and why people have no faith and walk in error. My pure doctrine is the doctrine of love, which I taught on earth. When this is taught and practiced, men move within truth and have entered the path of the imitation of Jesus. But if you disregard these commandments, no amount of outward performance will help your soul. You will remain in error and thus pass into the spiritual world. For I rate solely the degree of love attained by your soul until the hour of your death. Amen.